Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity and Love. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights. Quite often, they've been through their own transformative journey, haven't we all? And they've decided to give service to others. We've had all sorts of figures, all walks of life, international best-selling authors, healers with all different types of modalities, a White House physician to the US president, an Oprah Super Soul Sunday guest, and many others from probably 25 countries now. And we're almost completely booked out for 2025. We've taped all of 2024 shows. And I just want to say that for such a small show, we've got a really big guest footprint. So we're depending on amazing guests to just be amazing and to come on the show. What's amazing for the audience is they can often take participatory steps, whether it's just smelling a little bit of lit sage, which maybe we'll do at the end of the show today. They can smell it wherever it is in the world. And if you really think about it, you could be in Germany in 2030 watching the show with a couple million views by then, and you'll still catch the sage as if it was just lit a second ago. So please like, subscribe, share. Emojis count for comments. Do it. We have a really shy crowd here, and that's okay too. The bottom line is, if I had to do one reminder for everybody, you have no limits. You're love. So show love more and allow for more daily. When you can remember to remember, if you can remember. Today, coming to us from California, San Diego area, is an absolutely fabulous healer type. She's been doing this an awful long time. She's officially doing neuro-somatic therapy, but what she really helps folks do is adjust their flows, both body and mind, so they can understand what's happening and end up walking a smoother path regardless of the stress, trauma, and experiences they've had previously. They learn to own what they've got in the body and mind so they can breathe easier and again, relax into what they already have for skills. And so, Kelli Russell, you're incredible with what you've been doing. You've been doing it a long time, plus with your husband, I believe. He's welcome to come on the show in a few months and so on for late in 2025 or 2026. Thank you for being a guest on Angels, Positivity, and Love. It's a real treat.
I'm so excited to be here and have a conversation with you.
Uh,
I can't wait to see what unfolds.
Tell us, how did you first even understand that there was something called healing going on? When did you first start connecting to the universe a little extra? Was it a childhood, teenage years, or much later?
It was a lot later. I knew at age 12 I wanted to be some type of psychologist because I saw a lot of people that were unhappy. They didn't like their job, they didn't seem to like their spouse, and I was like, why would somebody create a life that they didn't like? So I said, I'm going to be a psychologist. And I got my first degree in psychology, and then I got my master's in marriage and family therapy. And I started practicing, but it was pretty hardcore. It was gang diversion. I was doing in-home therapy with little kids, but they were being abused, and the abuser was in the home. Anti-theft. So the court would mandate that they come and do therapy with me. So I saw a lot of people that there was a lot of resistance. They didn't want to be in therapy. And I thought, I don't know if I can be that effective here. And I totally switched careers. I became a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher. I still do that a couple times a week, 15 years later. And then about 10 years ago, my best friend got in an injury where she broke her back. And she had, I watched her try to heal herself in so many different ways for 2 years. She tried everything, Eastern, Western, finally had surgery, nothing worked. And she found an 86-year-old emotional kinesiologist and a medical doctor. And within a few sessions, the pain went away. And I was like, what is this magic? I've never seen anything like this. He soon helped our daughter. He helped my husband and I with something that we were going through. And it was by getting into the subconscious with things that we aren't ready to admit to ourselves, but they were present beneath the surface. And it created changes so quickly that healed my friends and family and self and relationship and daughter in a way that was mind-blowing. And I thought, I have to learn something similar. So I started studying emotional energy healing and getting into the subconscious and all these different modalities. And I ended up with emotion code therapy and then another one called Psyche, which is psychological kinesiology. And then now I'm just starting to run with it. It's like learning the notes, and now I'm starting to play, play the concerto. Things are coming in different ways and getting more connections in different ways that I hadn't previously seen. So it's definitely been a long journey, but magic revealed much later, just, 10 years ago for me.
Oh, that was wonderful. Can you describe a little bit more about where it is today? Are you feeling energy just when we'll call it a patient or client is sitting in front of you and talking? Are you seeing light on them, or are you seeing it with your eyes closed if it happens to be just phone and you're feeling seeing at the same time?
I think it's more of a feeling. So I'll often guide somebody through a process. So they've got instructions on what to do to have their own inner dialogue, putting their highest self, their wisdom self, their super conscious is in charge. And one, they're usually sitting next to me, or if we're working long distance, I have some people that are international, just like you and I are talking today. I'll just notice a shift. I'll feel the energy feels just kind of tight, or I'll feel it sometimes in my breastbone, like a dull ache. And then I'll notice when they're in the process, something changes that goes away. It feels more expansive and light. And I won't say anything to them, but I'll note it. I'll say, oh, something just changed. Every now and then, if it feels big, I'll say it out loud. I'll say, what was that? Or stick with that, because I'll notice a shift. And then we talk about it when they come out of it. I'll say, what did you notice? What insights did you gain? We check to see if the process completed. And then I say, I noticed something shift right around here. What was that? And then we'll talk about that as well.
And with respect to the universe, I'm going to jump this a little. We're an
Yeah.
angels, positivity, and love show, but often we forget to even talk about angels. Sometimes at the end, we take steps. Do angels exist? Have you had angel encounters at some point in your life, or now when you look back, you're like, boy, that was special. I know I got help from the universe. Have you had some of those experiences?
I haven't had very many angel experiences. It's so weird. My mother, she was a born again Christian. I went through some experiences when I was in fifth grade where she started fasting for a week. She started seeing things, and I was really scared by that because it seemed like my mom was going crazy a little bit. So I was really caught off guard. And one cool thing is she wanted me to have spirituality or religion in my life, but she didn't want to tell me how that had to look. So she had me go to almost every church in Reno, Nevada, where I grew up, and tried all different things for different, periods of time. So I got a lot of like little glimmers of different things that I enjoyed. My favorite was actually like the Baptist with a big African American culture with singing and dancing. I was like, oh, okay, this is it, where they go, praise the Lord, singing and dancing. And I could feel something different there, which I really liked. But ultimately, I didn't really attach to it as an institution. But it's weird. My father, he passed away 2 years ago. And he told me, he said, Kelly, I wish I could start my life over. And I would love to do it all again at your age. And I said, Dad, I'm my age. What do you think I should do? Like, what advice would you give me? And he said, I would just I stop trying so hard to get somewhere. And I'd go outside and I'd watch the clouds go by. And he said, heck, you live near the ocean. I would just go watch the waves roll out and the waves roll in. So 2 weeks later, I went out to the ocean. I took my bicycle, I took my cell phone, and there was the most glorious orange sunset. It was like the whole sky was on fire. And I took a video for my dad using my voice. I said, Dad, I'm taking your advice. I hear your message. I'm here at the beach. I'm watching the waves roll in and the waves roll out. And, thank you for that. And I looked at the video and it showed a golden cross right at the horizon, like right where the ocean met the sun, clear as day. Like, and I'm not a strong believer in symbology like this, but I was like, I sent it to a couple of friends. I was like, look at this. And my father passed a couple months later. So to me, it was like an angelic or religious experience, one that I was not expecting. And now I feel his presence often. I inherited his car. He was always a big aficionado for sports cars, and he used to drive a speedboat when I was a little girl. So every time I start that car and I hear the motor, I smile and I feel like he's right there with me. So if anything, like, he's my angel. And he was such a cool guy and loved life, and he believed that heaven is right here on earth. It's what we make it. So he's a presence that rides with me that reminds me of that off daily.
Mustang GT, right?
Yeah. I was like, how did you know that? But
I
yeah.
think it's on one of your websites. I definitely not turning on
Yeah.
any psychic stuff today. But also, I wanted to ask, so angels in the universe, and it's definitely big. Do you mind doing one more big picture thing, which is love the fabric of the universe? Where are you on that?
I think it's pure energy. It's the fabric that creates worlds. To me, it's an overwhelming sense of all rightness that permeates everything. And I believe in the law of one. So I think it's everything that you can see or touch or not touch, but it's the planets, it's the sun, it's nature, it's us, it's my coffee mug, it's my pen, it's all things everywhere. And then my biggest question would always be, I would do plant medicine journeys and things like this, and like DMT and ayahuasca. I've had those experiences, and my question would always be like, why would darkness be allowed, or people that do bad things or harmful things? But what comes to me is just that God is everything, and therefore everything must exist, which is the all, which is the entire spectrum in all directions, anything you could imagine. So it's letting people have the free will of where they wish to polarize within that field. And that's how I find peace with the all. Even when there are atrocities going on, it helps us see where we're at and where we wish to be in the spectrum. Where do we wish to polarize?
I have two quotes for you. One is, in the end, love is what shows us life in different colors.
Mhm.
And then the other's back your direction, which is about as a healer, which you may not be using that, but you do a healing service, definitely.
Yeah.
A healer is simply someone who helps a person confront opposing forces within him or herself to promote health. Can you talk to us about your own evolution as a healer? And today, are you getting not a download necessarily, but somebody gets in touch, a Fred or a Sarah, keeping it abstract? Do you sometimes get a feel for exactly where they may be? You obviously have to feel it out in person. And so
Mhm.
now you're starting to see certain patterns of where they're coming in, what level of
Yeah.
trauma or this happened, and so on.
Yeah, I actually attribute Sue Morter from the Energy Codes for this, because she has such a beautiful framework of there's a beginning point where it's kind of like a victimhood where you think that life is happening to you or people are doing things to me. And then we step into self-help. That's a lot where a lot of people find me because they believe maybe I have some power to change this. And there's a helper outside of me that can show me the way. And beyond that is the creatorship. Like you recognize that everything that's happening to you, good, bad, indifferent, the whole roller coaster of life is serving to awaken some part of you, your capacity for growth, for expansion, for something. And therefore, all of it can be good, even our greatest hardship. And then beyond that is the soulful self, where since you recognize that all is happening in your favor, and you can do that in a second, that it's all within my good, then it's just living more in that state of pure energy, pure light, that overwhelming sense of all rightness that permeates everything we do. And so I'm more able to see now where somebody might be on that path and do my best to help guide them for whatever they're ready for. And sometimes to teach them that it doesn't have to take so long. It can be a quantum flip, and that it can be as long as they allow a possibility for that, it could happen within a second, you know.
Boundaries. What have you learned as a healer on the healing front? Not necessarily personal or regular life, although it's kind of all interconnected. Talk to us about what you've had to let go of, what you've had to adopt more of, and our boundaries part of it.
I've always been so good at boundaries. I'm usually teaching others to have boundaries. Um, I don't know why that is. Why I've been really independent. I've had a very strong sense of self or who I am. I've put my neck out there when I was a little kid against bullies to protect those that couldn't. So I didn't have that fear, like I was willing to go out on a ledge and to do something that I felt was right. And in that same way, it's easy for me to say no, and this is the reason why. I can be very vulnerably honest with people and speak from my heart. But a lot of people that I work with, they are so afraid. So I think that is one of my superpowers, to help them find the power and to know that they can do it with love and tact in a way that still honors what's going on inside of them, that allows them to be in co-creation. So rather than subservient to others or having power over others, that they can work more collaboratively with vulnerable truth. So a lot of that is teaching them how to create whatever's that boundary for them. And they feel like they would be letting other people down, or they would be harming others by not saying yes. So I help them roll that in, that it's like, with your care of others, being a loving human being, wanting to support and love others, and honoring yourself as well, to choose those things that help you feel the most joyful and peaceful inside, to choose those decisions and those ways of being that help you feel the most inner freedom. And when you do, everything lights up.
Is it okay to rephrase it one way, in that you're helping them have breathing space, an inner space, or that stillness? And I'm going to do an Eckhart Tolle quote in a second that's stillness related, but you definitely assist at the beginning, but you're teaching them how to really own the inner space themselves, their energy flows. Is that a good talk to us about that?
We actually do processes. Like I created this one style of breath. It's called a power liminal breath. Liminal space is an in-between space, which can be a hallway, but it can also be a metaphysical space of possibility, where every possibility can occur. And so I guide people through this really intense breathing just for a few minutes, with a breath hold, where you feel a little constriction on your chest, and you feel like your throat is constricting because you're not taking a breath. But can you create spaciousness in that discomfort? And can you create space in the organs and the heart and the neck and the chest, often where people hold on to energy or heaviness is in this chest area. So when I can guide them to create internal space, suddenly there's more. And then we'll go into something after that, releasing a trauma, releasing a stressor. And then after you've let go of what's been burdening you, it's installing something powerful and positive and life affirming and motivating and energizing. And often it takes courage. So I help people find that internal courage or resilience, that no matter what is happening, that they can step forward with a positive presence. And one of the styles of yogas that I used to teach is called Budokan, which is the way of the warrior spirit. And there's a phrase we would start every class with, and it's OSU, us. In Japanese, it means steady perseverance with a positive state. So I love that spirit. It's like we can still move forward with a positive state as we move through the ups and downs of life. And so I help guide people into that state where they can move through those uncomfortable places and look for space, and then recalibrate or reorient their physiology and their mind towards their desired outcome. So what would you like to experience next? Instead of what you experienced in the past that was heavy or harmful, what would you like to focus on now? And sometimes it's because of that thing that you now have an ability to refocus on something different or better.
And I know in Ted Lasso, one of the episodes, the houseboat in the canal of Amsterdam, the football or soccer team owner falls into the canal, gets fished out by, I think, a KLM airline pilot who happens to live on a houseboat. And it was exactly what you were mentioning before. Life events don't happen to us, they happen for us. And you've twice mentioned that. We'll have to get back to that later. Here's a quote from Eckhart Tolle, although Winnie the Pooh suffices sometimes too. Being aware of stillness means to be still. To be still is to be conscious without a thought. Can you talk to us about that for just a second?
I have mixed thoughts on that. It's a thought. Teaching meditation for so long, there are so many people who feel they have failed if there are thoughts. So, let's say you're in a meditation and you find the gap between two thoughts and you're in there for a little bit. as soon as you recognize you're in the gap between two thoughts, it's a thought. So I really like to teach people that those are okay, that there is a witness or an observer that's behind the thought that's watching it. And so the thought is more just like data across a screen, or it's like watching a movie, or it's watching graffiti on a wall, or it's watching clouds pass through a sky. But becoming the observer or the witness of all of those things, it's allowing that part of you. And I think sometimes when we want to deny or denounce that part of us that is thinking, and our thoughts are about 80% negative, worried, planning and protecting, it's not denouncing that part because that would just be another part of perfection. Like that part of ourself is not allowed. It's more like allowing that part as a scared child. And sometimes I'll just pat my head and I'll say, thank you for letting me know. Tell me what you're worried about. What is the fear? What's underneath that? And then just creating a little space like, okay, what does the voice of wisdom now have to say about that? And usually what comes in is really beautiful and nurturing and powerful and positive. So I like to allow space for a voice, but to become a little bit panned out where you can see it and nurture it and just accept the totality of self and allow the coming and going of thoughts. So if you are in a gap between two, that's really magical. That's like the space of all possibility. And if there is a thought, that's okay too. It's weathering all of it. Yeah.
Can you talk to us about your journey? Any abroad trips to sacred sites or India, Machu Picchu, somewhere, Egypt? And how did that play a role at the time? What do you fondly look back at? And were there any special experiences you could share?
We've been lucky enough. We have a daughter, she's 18 now, and we got to travel with her to quite a few really cool places. Some standout things for me, especially not being so ingrained in maybe the world of past lives or angels as much, but I have had some interesting experiences. One time, I think I was in my late 20s, and I had this dream, but it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like this was the dream when I woke up. And I was on the interior of a cliffside in a tiny little cave for two, sleeping for the night. I felt to be about 14 years old, and my partner was hugging me, and he was a young boy around my same age, between 12 and 14, and he had almond eyes and medium deep colored skin and dark black hair. And we were just holding each other through the night. And I know this was my, whatever the name for it was, my partner, my husband, my spouse. And I woke up and this felt like the dream. I was like, what is that? And I often had these dreams about going up this cliffside in a car and feeling like the car was going to fall over or I was going to fall over. I also had a vision or a dream that I was thrown off a cliff. And I can't remember how I got to this knowledge, but it was because this woman's husband had noticed me and she was jealous and she threw me over the cliff. So I don't know if this was the same vision of me with my young husband, lover, or different, but me and my daughter and my husband in present time, we went to a few Greek islands, and one of those was Santorini, and we rented this tiny, tiny little car, and we started going up this cliffside, and I started panicking, and I am not afraid of heights. I have jumped out of an airplane. I've jumped 40 feet into water. I'm not afraid of that. I started freaking out in that car, and I was just like, what is going on? I was like, there was just so much overwhelm and sensation and feeling. And we got to the top, and I didn't want to walk around. My husband decided to go for a little hike. Our daughter got out with him, and I was just terrified in that car. And we made it down and we do muscle testing. So we're asking our innermost self, like, what is that? Is that connected to the previous life? My system said yes, yes, yes. And then when we got back into town, one of the yoga facilities that I taught at was having a Christmas event, and they brought a tarot reader who was doing readings for people, and you had to sign up on her list. And I signed up my name, and I had two friends with me that I had told about this experience. And the girl calls me into her area, and she said, "So you just went overseas, and you connected to your previous life." And I had not posted that anywhere socially because I was like, how would this woman know? Only my two really good friends knew. And I turned around and looked at them and I was like, how did she know? So to me, that was mind blowing. It was almost like going to a place that had a memory where I think something happened that was, I don't know what I believe about timelines, if it's all happening presently or what's a dream or what's awake, but it was visceral and very surprising to me.
Uh,
Um, and then with my husband, like we were learning emotion code. How do we release trapped emotions? And when we went and traveled, let's see, where were we with him? We were in Portugal, and he started getting all this heavy, dense emotion that he knew was not his. So I was facilitating for him, figuring out what that was. And it turns out it was ancestral energy. There was energy at the place where we had visited. We were doing lots of energy work each day as we returned home from the visits of the day. My daughter's really sensitive to energy as well, so she felt the places really intensely. She and my husband went out to this one particular area and they said, we have to get out of there right away. There's something very weird about this, the energy of this place. And then I would help them with, energetic clearings. And then my husband through this, he might be able to talk to him soon about his own experience, but he became so practiced at identifying and releasing that he now can help release stuck energy from a place or a location. So that did become one of his superpowers. But these things were all surprising to me because I didn't latch on to them very quickly. It was almost like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then figuring out how to talk to it and address it and release it.
and your screen went dark for just one
Oh
second.
no,
I didn't do it.
I'm not doing it either.
The
It's just
universe has twice done that, once before we started
strange.
recording. What I'll do is I'm going to blow some sage and
Yeah,
we'll go sideways for 1 second and we'll get right back on track.
that
Um,
sounds good.
I've got a feather sage. It's Juniper Ridge, the California company. It's in all the Whole Foods and stuff like that. I think still very consistent sage. As I light it, sensitive folks can maybe smell it. But once you get some smoke, leave your eyes on the smoke and just set your intent. Anything works. Angels, universe, get me out of my head into my heart. Help me smell sage. Even if your schnoggin doesn't work, it doesn't matter. It's light first, energy second. Just it's a vibration coming in. It's how you can get any answer to any question in any language. Not from me. I don't tell anybody anything. So ask for sage, but why would you settle for just linear sage? Not that it's not amazing, but ask for flowers and ask for even an extra ocean Santorini smell that's positive, reassuring.
Mm.
And if anybody wants to see light on their eyelids, if they're shut, get pink light from an angel named Joy. Let her make a really cool, from anything from a happy face to a peace symbol to more Sanskrit, ancient Egyptian symbols. I forgot what they're called, hieroglyphs. Or if you like galactic coding or earth sacred geometry. I think I rounded the bases there. And if anybody needs extra help, turn up the volume like those 1970s stereo components with the big wheel that if you just turn it 2 millimeters, it feels like a Mustang GT. Breathe through the mouth and shoulders heave ho. You can be in your body even more. This is Kelly's stuff here. She helps you settle into being what you are already. Did you get the sage okay? Good. And you can still hear me and I can hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Perfect.
me?
Okay. Yes.
Mm.
And I'll put up one angel photo for the cave hugging stuff. You don't have to share anything out loud, but you can say, got it. She's really good at reveals for past lives or concurrent lives. The more love you do now, the more somehow it bleeds through the other waking realities. Here's Charlotte, everybody's favorite school teacher from childhood with words meant to help you expand. Connect in on that, get a private description, hear what you can publicly say in case there is something you can share. See a little blue light on your eyelids if you wish, or get a little hand on your shoulder and a little squeeze, just saying, I love you and comfort. But she can set the context and paint the picture so you get a lot of detail very quickly and just the upside, the positive perspective. And if you want to do the car thing, you can hear about that, but just put a Chinese wall in and let her very gently handle the second one. Or the cliff spiral thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't mind getting one of like three smells, sage, sweetgrass, ocean, juniper, flowers, something to just seal the deal at the end so that you feel good. I'll put this down. And then whenever you want to come back,
Mm-hmm.
what can you share? Definitely keep anything private that's supposed to be private, but is there anything you can share from that?
You ask it in a different way. And I know that's heady and
Oh,
it just felt, it was more of a feeling. It was like a feeling of warmth and energy that went through my core from my pelvis up to my breastbone and then spread out.
ooh,
And it felt really warm and lovely and good. And I saw my lover, my spouse's young eyes, and it was a reminder of the beauty there. And it's such a beautiful place. The sea, the beauty of the land itself, So it was just kind of like it's all okay. If there was a message, it was that.
I love it. And can you talk to us more about how it's evolved for how you're helping others? Have you found that people need less sessions now, that there are many more people getting, I don't like the way I'm about to say this, service, the way they're getting assisted, gently assisted. It's sometimes very quick now. They're in the old days, like just a few years ago, it'd be 5 sessions, but now you're witnessing 1 or 2, and there's a lot more happening more quickly, shifting.
Mm. I think, even my background being the talk therapy, the marriage and family therapy, I find that it strengthens those programs because you're telling the old story again and again and again. So those neural networks are very toned and strengthened. So in this place, we're inviting new ones in. We're changing to a new direction pretty quickly. And it really depends on what the person is working on and how many things they want to work on. Sometimes it's just one, and sometimes people come and they're like, 10 things. I want everything to be different. And I still recommend we just start with just one and see what unfolds from there. But one thing I've noticed has been shifting pretty rapidly is with the emotion code work, there's something called a heart wall, where there's an energetic wall around the heart when we've been hurt by experience in life. And that used to take many more sessions to release or clear a heart wall, and now it's just a matter of a few. The founder of that method notices that, and he said it's just happening much more rapidly now. So I think within the collective consciousness, it's like once that is available, then it's just known. Just like after the 4-minute mile, once that was available, then other people are like, wow, I can get there too. Or when monkeys are learning how to use one tool over on one side of the world, and then another tribe of monkeys picks it up on the other side of the world, there's something that happens in the collective where that information is shared and more rapidly exchanged and known.
And this is a really like technical question that doesn't have to even be a part of this interview. But when people do the heart wall thing and they're releasing, is
Yeah.
there often a physio, if I use the right word, reaction that you see? Is there a little bit of tearing, a yawn, body shaking, or something like that that happens as part of the release?
I see shoulders relax, chest rolls open, sometimes yawning. My husband is a yawner to release that energy all the time. I had one magical experience where at this time I was in between an office and I was meeting somebody at this beautiful location above the ocean where they had these little private stone benches and booths. And we had met together for several sessions and we were releasing her heart wall. And this gray dove came right onto the table, right next, in between us. I have photos I can share with you later. And it stayed there for 40 minutes. And we both of us were astounded. We're like, how is this happening? And it puffed up its little body and its little feathers, like the way it would if it were going to sleep. It just got real puffy. And I have a friend who speaks to animals energetically. And afterwards, I said, "What is that? What was that?" She said, "Well, it may have been coming because there's that energetic thing that was happening of working with that client and helping them release that stuck energy. And there's a big healing occurred. And we were able to release this heart wall on that session." And so either that bird is coming in there to feel that energetic shift, or it was coming for its own healing itself, or it was coming as a messenger. And we looked up the messages, and they were beautiful messages. It was one of the most magical experiences that I've ever had. So there's something energetic going on that is felt. It was almost like those waves were present, and the bird came into those waves to bask or to soak those in. And that was as it was releasing.
And can you talk to us about the difference between the energies that are up here, which is, welcome to thinking, and what you talked about earlier at the beginning of the show? It's happening all the time. It's fear, stress, worry, rejecting, reacting, resisting, and so on. Unlove, if you want. And then there's love, limitlessness, if I said it right, no limits, timelessness, consciousness, and definitely awareness. So I'll quote one angel who said, "Grow your awareness, not your thinking," and it's 7% less thinking a day. Or flip that pancake, it's 7% more heart a day. And everyone's already that's an Olympic gold medal, and everyone's already an Olympic gold medalist. That was my piece to contribute. Can you run with this and talk to us about the flows and how that's part of life is, learning to love more and show love more often?
It's really that wholeness. So we have this being, this magical being that we are, and we have a heart that is loving and a heart that is beating. And we have lungs that are breathing, and we have digestion that is happening, and we have thoughts that are thinking. But it's just taking the totality of the wholeness, and appreciating that they're all working as one in conjunction. So the more we can look at those as friends rather than foes, like instead of thinking, why do I have these thoughts? These thoughts are horrible. They're keeping me up at night. There's so much stress in the world, or when we're sick, or if somebody has an illness or disease, often it's a war or it's a battle, and that doesn't work. That's not how we heal. It's about welcoming in with love the totality, the allness, the oneness of who we are, knowing that our system craves and wishes to be balanced. It's seeking balance. So to me, it's just letting go of the obstacles that get in the way of understanding that. And a lot of time healing occurs when we stop pushing against or resisting what is, like, I don't want to have this, or I don't want to be sick, or I don't want to have these thoughts. And step one is always the acceptance of. And then step two is a redirection into love or acceptance, appreciation, gratitude, and with that, joy. And once we can get to that level of acceptance, the overwhelming all rightness of all that is, things start to rebalance. The body wants to balance. The heart wants to work with the mind. The body wants to work well. So when we can help it as much as we can, getting out in the sunshine, giving it nutritious whole foods, moving our bodies and exercising, redirecting towards appreciation and love. That's what it thrives in. And that's where we see beauty. And our systems respond to that.
Not quite the past lives question here, but it's sort of related, and it seems to be growing a little bit. If you had asked me about anything galactic, I would have been like, 10 years ago, I would have said, sure, it's big. If you'd asked me about angels and being galactic, I'd be like, well, they're light beings, and they're like whales. Angels are like dolphins. But in the spring of this year, in 2024, different angels started offering different origin stories: Sirius, Andromeda, Orion. A couple are, archangels are very cosmic and broad, closer to light beings, maybe. I don't know, trying to quantify any of this, but an angel named Joy is really broad as well. With that, there's all sorts of backgrounds: domestic, on planet Earth, and further out. How do you look at the universe these days? I don't know if you call it cosmology. There's definitely a huge UFO disclosure movement. Are we the only casino on the Vegas Strip? I guess first I'd like to ask, as mankind goes, how's your galactic universal view going?
I certainly believe that we are not the only ones. How could we possibly be?
Have you
We,
been
you know,
given any background on your own background without getting to, don't answer it in any way. If you got the complete details, you don't have to answer anything here. But I mean, I can throw out, I have to write everything down. I forget everything. But I think
Mhm.
I've got like a Pleiadian, Andromedan, Sirius background. I got that right. Um, and I'm just mentioning that. Have you been told you have a certain type of persuasion way, way, way back?
I have um, a biofield harmonics spiritual guide who's a real physical person. She has a lot of information on that. We've talked about it a little bit. I think she told me some greater details, but I didn't attach to it very much. But where I felt a connection was Lemurian,
Mhm.
and I started talking to her about it one day. And as I talked to her about it, like that I knew her from there, and I don't play in these realms very often. So it was just in the right metaphysical state of being where information was flowing and I was talking to her about this. It was in a session of her guiding me.
Mhm.
And I addressed it to her and I just felt like it was like the back of my head blew open and all this energy from her came right at my chest to my heart. And I remember being so blown away. I was like, what was that? What is this? What? And she just blew it off like nothing. She's like, oh, yeah, that's just that. I was like, what? There was something that happened. There was some type of connection, reorientation, remembering that my body, my energy body had a full back of the head blown off, huge energy coming into my heart. And I was like, did you just know what happened? She goes, oh, yeah.
Uh,
So,
this is
I mean,
awesome.
that's where I go is more like there's something with the Lumerian that I feel a strong affinity for that I think I was a part of or am a part of. Um, the Galactic, I'm super curious about, but I haven't spent much time there in this reality.
I love this, and that was such a great answer. And for Lumerian stuff, I only started doing this like in the spring after 13 years with angels. And every time you think you know something, they either mention a past life that you didn't ask for, or Charlotte said she's got an Orion background, cosmic. This one, Sirius, not trying to sound too serious here, but like Pleiadian, Andromedan, many who are much further out where music came from. But Lemurian, I can't pronounce anything.
Mhm.
Definitely the way I describe it right now is pink light, lots of knowledge,
Mhm.
not for everyone and not accessible by everyone. It's not trying to make it sound stingy or closed doors or anything, but just super high vibe. And so maybe later we'll do Sage again and do a couple figures, or we'll take 2 seconds. If you don't mind, here's Joy. Ask any question you want, get a private answer, get a private hug. But if you don't mind getting a reminder from her to you for all of us on just living more, loving more, smiling more. And while you're at it on a third front, just whisper something about Lumerian, ask about it, get a private answer. You're not sharing that part out loud. People at home, if you need extra help, breathe through the mouth. You can put your hand up to the photo, treat it like a fireplace, feel light vibe. Try too hard, you'll get sparkles on your toes or in your nose. And if anybody wants to catch smells, fantastic. Or you want to see pattern light on your eyelids, it's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you'll allow for. The usual rub of daily living. And you can have her bring in actually some of your Lumerian buds. I'll put it in a really funny way and see that light. And anybody wants to do the Kundalini Highway Express, I don't know my highways in California, so pick a highway number that makes you laugh. It's usually stop traffic. This is the opposite. You can get whooshed up and down the back. So you go, oh my God. Keyboards, but like a professional band. Why settle? The Stones, Journey. I don't know who has good keyboards. Okay. Did you get that all okay? Did Joy have a reminder for us all?
Yeah, unconditional love as a remedy for worry. Because we worry about the world, we worry about our children, our parents, our loved ones. and it's a dense vibration. It adds weight to what already is a weighty experience. But when we shift to unconditional love, no matter what somebody is going through or some part of the world is going through, there's an elevation there. And you can do it so simply, just sitting on the floor, cross-legged with your back against the wall and warming your heart and sending that just like an energy hug out to somebody that you are worried about or some part of the world. And it is felt. I know this. When I work with people and I guide people through little processes like this, they'll say, "You'll never believe it." They'll put their phone on silence, but then when they'll turn it on at the end of our session, they go, "That person just messaged me," or everyone we talked about in our session, I just got text messages from all those people. It's like, and it happens all the time. Or I'm working with someone on a woman that they hadn't seen for 20 years, and then they'll get a letter from the woman that they hadn't seen in 20 years. I know it works. I know these energetic vibrational phone calls, sending love, sending an energetic hug, sending your intention, they do work.
And that leads us right into the next question, the interconnectedness of all. But you have a quicker way you can just say that. We are one. Can you talk about that for a second?
The oneness, yeah.
The oneness.
I believe in the law of one, so everything is that. So when everything is that, then what you do to one person, you're doing to a part of yourself. So when we're remembering that, we remember to be kind, that everybody is doing the best with what they can, that if you had every single step of your life just like theirs, you would probably be them. There's a reason they have this intake of experience and information that has led them to this point. And it's beautiful that we can all be so different. We don't have to be the same. I think that's where a lot of battles or wars come to be. Why can't you be more like me? But I believe we are each a fractal of source, knowing itself in an infinite number of ways. So the only thing for you to do is be more fully you. So for Michael to be more fully Michael, and for Kelly to be more fully Kelly, that is the only job, is to do what lights you up, what you feel inspired by, what feels joyful and peaceful, what feels like a pull of the heartstring, and to do more of that. And then when you do that, then that is source knowing itself through you, your aliveness living through you. And I heard one lady describe it like a disco ball, like that's the collective is the interior, and we are but a mirror, a little tiny square mirror that reflects it out. So we each get to reflect that out in the way that we feel most lit up about, you know? And that's so beautiful. And we don't have to be the same. We don't have to have the same ideas or values. And I believe in personal freedom without power over others. So can we express ourselves fully without subjugating another for that?
Beautiful. I love that. And there are not separate paths for man. One is one. Again, without changing anybody's flavor or the way they think, because they're choosing how they spend their energy and their time.
Yes, that's right.
I'm going to do a few random quotes, and whichever one you not react to, but whichever one you want to run with or you love, or something pops out, if you could respond or talk. Okay. Archangel Raphael Uriel said once, if more people would listen, less conflict would arise in any given situation. I think you were just talking about that. And then from Star Wars, Luke, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke in the very first 1977 Star Wars. Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view. And I'll pick one more. This is random here. How many ways are there to see? Question. As many ways as we are willing to look. Karl Hammerschlag, The Theft of the Spirit. He's since passed away in the last 3 years or so. He was a Yale doctor who graduated thinking he knew everything about healing and medicine, but got to a reservation, and a medicine man took him under his wing. He later became a psychologist, and everything he ever learned, he tried to pass on to the community. So he's a beautiful person. Which one of those or all of them generated something?
The second one is a reminder that we are all living with our own virtual reality goggles on all through life. And even if you and I were in the same place and witnessed the same thing, it would be different because we would be tuning into different things. So it's just understanding that everyone is having as unique and as rich of an experience as you are, and allowing them that. I remember my husband Kevin and I, we know muscle testing where you're testing your body's truth on a particular situation. And we would get into arguments. He said, she said. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. There's no way both of these are true. And so then we would say, oh, I know what to do. Let's muscle test and see who's true, who's right, right? So then we would muscle test Kevin on what he said, and his body would say, yes, that's correct. That is true. And then we muscle test me on what I witnessed and what I said, and my body said, yes, that is correct. That is true. And we said, well, how can we both be right? But in that unique perspective, and the way that we perceived that experience, it was both right. So it changes the whole, it's like, what is there to argue about anymore? You're right and I'm right. So let's get on with it and move forward together. So if we can give people more grace in their all rightness, in their rightness, that we can all have a different perception, we can all have different experiences. Each is as valid as the next. And we can appreciate that. That can inspire others rather than get into fights with people. Yeah.
I love this. I'm going to put up a beautiful photo of Ananda Mayama out of India.
Yes.
And she used to say, I'm not going to get this exactly right, but that everyone is right. And then Angels said once, there's not a lot to remember, but I remember this one. There is no right or wrong, but there's proper understanding. So I'll add that I think that's love and just allowing more. Here's Ananda Mayama. If you don't mind catching something broad and then translating it for us. And really, if you don't mind catching a solar flare of love from her so that you get whooshed. And maybe a little temple incense out of India. Pretend there's a temple 30 meters behind you somehow, and you're getting the incense as well. Why not? Let's save a trip to India. People should still go to India, but why not have India come to you once in a while? Here's those chime wind music things that move in the wind. And I'll do one more. No try iota, but Archangel Gabriel said always try. And they're both correct. It's not about words. What did you get from that?
Just love, love. It is only love. It is all just love.
Ooh, and if you could talk to us next about compassion, kindness, gentleness, and love, but I'm going to read you a 2 or 3 sentence of like the gentlest thing I've ever seen in my life. Another angel. Let's blame angels or don't blame Canada. Here it is. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all. Do it.
Yeah. And that's back to the Thich Nhat Hanh that you talked about at the beginning. He said, if you smile, that can be the source of your joy. That can create your happiness. So back to the neurosomatic reprogramming, the simple act of the smile, of softening your eyes as you gaze at someone, eliminating a twinkle in your eye, feeling the warmth in your heart. You can create and establish a sense in your being. You can generate feelings that you wish to experience and run them through your body. You're also really adept at guiding that really rapidly, Michael, of running feelings and energy through the system. So yeah, it's a reminder that we can choose that state and we can offer that to others. So your smile can then spark that in them as well.
Awesome. In a second, we're going to maybe play with some whooshing energy just for like 30 seconds, but I wanted to ask you about that flow of life, love itself, and what you've been learning along the way in the last couple of years, or simply coming to a realization about or appreciating more. I'm not sure which way to say it, but that each day that goes by, when you remember to remember, if you remember to remember, good luck for anybody doing it twice a week. What are you coming to appreciate even more lately?
That worry blocks that. I've been concerned for my mom lately. She's going through a lot of big changes in her life that require a little bit more care. And I find that my worry about that blocks the state of love that can be present. So it's a reminder when I feel that blocking because there's a concern or a worry that I can take a deep breath and let that go and shift to that unconditional love that permeates all things. I can start up my car and feel my dad's energy beside me and remember that overwhelming feeling of all rightness, and I can spread it through my being and I can share that. So I help people do that too in sessions where they can find their own sense of internal space, where they feel blocked by those dense and heavy things, where they feel hyper focused or fixated on them, to help them release those entanglements, to create more space, to then invite in something different that's lighter, better, that they get to choose. You know?
Technical, tactical question. This is completely arbitrary, but fun. You're doing what you do at an energetic, loving level, but on a tactical and practical level, are you ever lighting candles, incense? How do you clear your space? How are you paying attention to any residual? Do you mind talking about that for just nitty-gritty stuff for 10 seconds?
I used to do a lot of practices, and I was taking pranic healing courses where you put salt water in your room underneath the chair that nobody has to necessarily see, but it can take on dense or dark energy. My teacher recommended having your guru's voice saying Om on a very low level where it's imperceptible to sound. That's so weird. I'm feeling something in my throat right now.
I didn't do it.
It feels smoky, and there's no smoke in my room. At night, my teacher would recommend getting some essential oil and a little bit of salt and going and taking a bath or a shower and rolling that on each of your chakras so that then you could clear your energy at the end of each night, and washing your hands in between each session that you meet with a client so you can disperse that energy. Another modality I was working with is creating an energetic protective bubble where you're releasing anything that might be dense or heavy or dark or entity. And I realized that our thoughts create our reality. So the more that you think you need protections and you need to do these extraneous things in order to safeguard or protect your space, it's going to be exponential. So I switched the way that I look at it, and I more boom out loving energy. So instead of creating a protective environment or a protective bubble, I focus on the light that is already present inside. I start at the heart space and I grow it out like sun's rays, like brilliant rays of sun that go outside of my body, like an auric ray all throughout and all around. And I can boom it out 2 feet or 5 feet. But instead, it's getting really connected to my own energy field and strengthening that and shoring it up rather than feeling that I need to be protecting from outside energy. And that's what works best for me. So sometimes I'll use some sage. I have some in my office, or I have some Palo Santo I really like, and that can be very loving. It's also got such a nice smell. But in general, they're just there as reminders, just as lovely aids from Mother Earth that can help us get into the right headspace for transformation to occur. But I really believe that our thoughts create our reality. So if you feel that you need it, you will. And if you feel that you need 5 things in a day, you will. And if you feel that it has to be these certain specifications, you will need it. And if you believe you don't need any of it, you don't. It's powerful.
And when your house's fire alarms go off telling you you need to sage the house, you didn't sage recently enough. Like my 3 houses now in Texas have been a little conscious. The alarms go off when it's time. And holy
Wow.
cow, yeah, but everyone's carrying around Samsonite luggage, and you can pick that up at a mall, a theater, a concert. But
Wow.
that's back to the boundary or just owning your flow
Yes.
better. I'm going to put up 2 figures from India, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, the one from 100 years ago, unless you want Ganesh instead, the tiger as well, the Divine Mother, and maybe like Buddha and Thich Nhat Hanh. And then we're done with that part. Get anything you want, a reminder for us, feel what you can feel. But is Sai Baba, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, the one from 100 plus years ago, is he okay? I have a colorized photo.
Sure.
Mr.
Oh,
Miracle is a lot of fun. Straddled three religions. I don't need to mention which ones. But he can wink, smile, shoulder waggle in this. And you can catch that Indian incense again. If we didn't do that before, I forgot if we did or didn't. And what are you getting from him? He's wonderful.
I'm just kidding that he's a reminder that you know this, that whoever he's speaking to, he's like, you know this. Like when you're like, I have a question, what should I do? He says, you already know what to do. You know this.
I love it. He and Geronimo are very much like that. I take them for runs, and whenever, there are times I'm going up these 12% inclines. North San Antonio is hilly. And when I'm lagging and the music's not doing it, I'm not doing it, those two will show up and he'll wear like a Nike 70s outfit with one of the tennis headband type things and look
Yes,
ridiculous. But he'll do the jogging as if it's like no big deal. And I start laughing. Then I lighten up.
I love that.
It's cute. They're good running partners. The tiger is on everyone's team, pure action, deity-like, not spirit guide. If you only had like Geronimo, Metatron, the tiger, and an angel named John, Synchronicity, you'd be all set for your business you're starting tomorrow. But this tiger is super soft and fun on everyone's team action. What am I missing? A sweetie.
Mm.
And if it's okay to pretend you own a big dog, like a tiger, you can put your hand out face down like you're dribbling a basketball and feel the tiger in the room. And if anybody needs extra help, breathe through the mouth, be in your body. But you can feel soft shampooed, opposite a jaguar who's got wiry short hair. And you'll really get something good. Get nuzzled on the face somehow. He can be in two, or the tiger can be in two places at once. You can get a little nuzzle like the size of a kitty cat. And you can have the tiger mention something to you about something that's private. Just say, got it when you got it. A little reveal for you personally. You'll know what it is. Tiger knows what it is. We don't need to know. But something fun. And if you don't mind saying, got it when you got it out loud.
Got it.
Perfect. Okay, what'd you get from Tiger? Pure action on everyone's team. And it's like those car commercials, but this is an Exxon commercial, I think, from 20 years ago. Put a tiger in the tank. That's kind of what this is all about. So I'm just trying to make you laugh. Okay, but the tiger thing, talk to us about tiger action. What was the message?
Fierce love. There's a fierce quality of, it's like ferocious love that will move forward through jungles, climb mountains to make it happen. So there's the eyes, there's a kindness to the eyes, there's a love and a passion there to go after what you want. Those things that are in your path can be quickly moved through by the energy of that tiger. So
And it's a kind of like allow, ask, and receive, or the classic phrase of if you don't ask, you don't get. So start asking at least one way to the universe, right? Or to the powers that be, or however you say it. Okay, Thich Nhat Hanh for you. I don't know what to say. Everyone knows Thich Nhat Hanh. So very gentle, very fun, very present. If you want to see golden flecks of light, eyes closed, eyes open, it doesn't matter. Or when you transition back to us, you can see little flecks. Nobody has to vacuum later. And no mean comments. You don't have to get Stanley carpet cleaners. It's universal light. But the flecks of light can be compassion. And when they touch your skin, you can feel it. Disney CGI turning into love. He's very to the point, though. So you definitely should be getting something very poignant. I don't know. What'd you get?
his face in the picture looks very serious, but he had a reminder to laugh and have fun.
Oh, I like that. And I said
To be
someone, oh, yeah.
lighthearted.
And Buddha, and to try to just, I worried about Buddha for 2 years. I'm not Buddhist. Chogyam Trungpa was a mouthful. I asked him, and I never could pronounce Rinpoche correctly. So I said Rinpoche for the first 8 years till I learned better. You never get to say any of this stuff out loud, so you learn the hard way. But I was walking through a Target once, I think it was a Target, and there was a sign hanging over the book section. And this is how Buddha showed up for me the first time. as a cardboard sign. And I heard the voice. I probably would have freaked the other way. So this is the other way I do Buddha. And I
Mm.
handled it like a champ. So it must have been the right way to reach me. But here's Buddha. And if you don't mind getting a lot of golden light somehow, eyes open, eyes closed, or whooshing, 1 + 1 = 111, way beyond what we think we can ask for.
Mm.
I'm getting concentric rings that somehow ripple. Think Olympic rings, but they're golden and they're rippling somehow like sound. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying it out loud because I am not holding back today. And I'll be punny in that you can hear the unstruck bell. So it's that stillness again. I don't know how else to say it. You'll know exactly what that is, but you'll get delivered something. And I'm going to pull back and just, okay, what was that about?
A vibration without sound. It's the magic of the entire universe.
Yay. Okay, so that was special, right?
Yeah.
Good. Well, Kelly Russell, I'm gonna throw out just a couple phrases or keywords, and if you don't mind, you're welcome to come back anytime on the show. Absolutely carte blanche. You're super fun. But I'm going to throw out some key phrases for you to run with, in sort of a conclusion sort of way. But some of these are the cliche that you hear about all the time, but that's okay. And you've already touched on a lot of these, but whichever ones resonate, here it is. Acceptance, acknowledgement, attention, allowing, attitude, awareness, abundance, a lot of A's here. Angels to wrap
Yeah.
that one up. Positivity, love, kindness, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, allowing all, opening, openness, and one or two more. Positivity is abundance, to give you a phrase. Or here's the longer version. Learn to take life really one moment at a time. What do you want to run with there? What do you want to
Oh
tell?
my gosh.
It's a
Well,
sushi menu, and you are already a sushi chef. So this is really our chef's choice now.
the one that I'm being really drawn to is the acceptance because I see that as the biggest blockage that people come in with because they want things to be other than the way they are. So even though I help people shift to something in a different altered state into a desired outcome, this first thing that has to happen is a release of resistance to whatever is. So allowing, a big, huge allowing and accepting whatever is present at that moment. And from that place, letting go of all else, it's just like coming back to a baseline of just, shoo, that's the place where we can now create from. So wherever you feel resistance to what is, I don't want this to be that way. I don't want that to be that way. I don't want my, brother to be acting like that. I don't want those people over there to be doing that in the world. Yeah, that's it holds you to the thing, the very thing that you don't want. It holds your attention there. Your energy is focused on the unwanted. So when you can pull that back and release it, accept everything for the isness in this very moment. Now from that place we can create, and that becomes magical. Now we're stepping into creatorship, into the soulful self.
That was incredible. You're actually going to get one more chance to do it again because I got a Texas two-step for you. I'm going to do the Celestine prophecy thing. I totally forgot on the feeling energy. No more angel or Thich Nhat Hanh pose or anything, but I'm going to show my energy. You don't have to show yours, and you're sitting
Okay.
with your heart. It'll just be a stream of light, any colors, blah, blah, blah. But Celestine Prophecy, they did it this way. And as a guest said who was around in the 70s doing healing stuff, they were doing it in the 70s before the movie existed. I know in India they do it this way. You'll just see auras, light, universal consciousness flows. But you get a second chance. You can ask, once you get the first part done, ask the universe to bring in something extra that you know is not my light. Angels are jumping in. People have been getting butterflies,
Mhm.
phoenixes, hearts, and other stuff. You get a dad joke, most importantly, out of this that you haven't heard. I got it. We were doing dad jokes before the show. It's Bert and Ernie Sesame Street. Bert offers Ernie ice cream. What's Ernie say? Sure, Bert. And then What color light do you see flowing between
Mm.
your fingers?
I see like a lime greenish yellow.
Ooh, you're my first ever lime green. Thank you. I've never
Mhm.
had that in 13 years. I love it.
Mm.
If you don't mind asking the universe for something extra now, that they're jumping in, angels, Thich Nhat Hanh, get hearts, get rainbows, get glowing sparks, objects, anything. And what are you getting now?
The energy of creation that we all have access to. So what you're doing is a reminder of that. And everybody that is listening to this or watching that can also have their own expression of that. It's something that's almost palpable that you can sometimes see and definitely feel if you're tuning in. And it's powerful. You are powerful beyond measure. And when applied towards your desired outcome, amazing things can happen, especially when you're tuning into that heart and opening up into love. Then we have space. Now we have space to create.
And that's like your bread and butter, and everyone's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely beautiful. You made me blush on that one. I love it. Okay, very last act, whatever you call this, with your permission, and I'll describe it. I'll put my hand up in Texas, you put your hand up in California. Only
Yeah.
our highest intent, not my thinking side kicking in 30
Okay.
minutes from now.
Yes.
I think all the time, welcome to being human. So we feel whatever we feel, but I'm going to whoosh you rainbow light 3 times. It's angels, it's not me. And it'll be 3 times, low, medium, and high. But if you want to cheat and go big early, you can. What do you feel besides my ink dot on my thumb? What do you feel on my hand? Are you feeling, I don't know, what word would you use?
Subtle warmth. So
Oh,
it's not cool and it's not hot. It's just like, oh, yeah, very, very subtle, calm, ethereal, drifty, floaty.
ooh, keep going. You're doing good words. I love this. I'm just having fun. Okay, so I'm gonna whoosh once, and it's gonna be low, but I'm also gonna blow through a microphone that's below my laptop if I look weird. It'll be Hawaii coming into the room. If you want to get little sea spurts on your nose, you can. I hope my microphone doesn't filter out the wind sound. But it's all angels. Ask for a lot of love and have it go where it will. Here comes the first whoosh. And Kelly, what did you get on that one?
I share this love. There's a thing that we do that's called isumatak, where it's like casting a net, and those who wish to receive a certain type of healing can energetically raise a hand to receive that healing. And here it was just an invitation, like casting that net wide to receive that love that we're generating through this process right now, and to share that with anybody who needs it, anybody who's energetically holding up a hand that just needs that a little extra love or a reminder to shift away from worry, that that can be shared and a sense of relief is felt.
Well, I feel like I'm saying brilliant for the fifth or sixth time in the interview. So if I did, I'm redundant. It's okay because it was brilliant. I'm going to do it a second time, medium. And if people want to get whooshed now, the front side, the back side, Kundalini Express, feel like you're wearing a hat, and the toes, go however big you want to go. Here comes the second one, more Hawaii at the microphone down here. And was there a little more rippling there?
I mean, I felt that was peace, peace, perfect peace, peace within me, peace between you and me, and peace in the universe. It felt like a blanket.
Beautiful. And then the last one, go big, go home. I'm assuming you're home, so you got to go big. If you want to catch ripples or see ripples of light, whether your eyes are open or closed, ask for the whole shebang with the works. Let's go crazy Americanisms. Okay, here it comes. And I think I'm quoting, I forgot his name, but how about them apples? I forgot what the name of the movie was. No, the guy who plays Matt Damon. He said, "How about them apples?"
Oh, yeah.
In some movie. Yeah, I forgot the name of the movie. Okay.
Probably quite a few.
Yeah. Okay. So what was that all about at the end? Was it a little bit bigger, more fun, more sparkly?
So when I had an ayahuasca experience, I said, universe, please show me your glory. And I received such an inpouring of sparkly, omnipresent, euphoric glitter, colors that I've never seen before, feelings that this human body could not contain. And it was so overwhelming that I couldn't take it. It was like, this vessel can't receive the information that I'm being given. And in that moment, I just prayed for, let me just go back to this 3D world where there's a butterfly flying on my shoulder and I can look up and see a rainbow and enjoy the cloud shapes because that is the beauty that I can handle. So when we did that, that was that reminder of this, the magnificent energy that is so intense that I don't think these human vessels can contain it. And the beauty that we do see is all around us and available to us at any time. You just look outside, go for a walk outside.
Well, I'm sneaking in one more animal photo because it's an animal. It's jaguar, short, wiry hair, but something's going to go full circle on all this. It's private for you, more the inner authentic, because you're that inner fearless, peaceful warrior. And we'll say throw in some jaguar for good measure.
Yeah,
And hopefully you're getting something that's making you laugh.
it's just the badass. It's just a reminder to be badass.
Yeah, and I think you've got that check. So with that, we're gonna have you do the shortest closeout ever. If it's a t-shirt expression, but you get the front and back of the t-shirt, a mantra if you want to go guru and be that India person, but you know, could be Native American or anything else. What's a final power phrase? But I don't like the word power. So what's a fun phrase that helps us let go and just allow more that you love or that you've just gotten kind of your groove on the last couple of weeks? What's jumping out as a phrase to leave us with?
The guru is you. All of these things are permission slips. Everything we talked about today. They're all just ways so that you can come back to everything that already exists inside of you. The magnificence, the whole entire universe that makes you up, the magic that is within you and created by you. It's you. So it's just all of these are just journeys back to that understanding and to that knowing. And we can illuminate that for each other in whatever way is the most magical to you. It's all of it is right. All of it is correct.
And I'll be punny one more time. G, you are you. Guru. Kelly Russell, holy cow. Thank you very much for being a guest on Angels, Positivity, and Love. Very powerful show. Looking forward to having you back on if you'll be so gracious. Just super excited you having shared so much on this show. So thank you.
It was so much fun. It was like lightning round, just mixing of a lot of different fun experiences, feelings, emotions, ideas. Super fun. It was almost like playing tennis with positivity and creation. I'm like, wow, that was very energizing and cool.
And I think this is the only episode out of 210 I've turned 3 shades of pink at 3 different times. So something was up, and this is awesome.
Right on.
Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that we provided some joy for somebody that watched or listened to us today. So thank you to all who tuned in too.
Awesome. Thank you.